Yeah, I should probably talk. Hello, and welcome back to Anime-chan, where today we'll be talking about Attack on Titan Season 3, Episode 5, which I'm sure you could tell from my blank expression at the start. It took me a while after watching the episode to actually get my brain going again because I'm quite confused, but not in a bad way. Before we jump into my reaction highlights and then my short review, I just want to give a shout out to a new patron, Tiago Silva, who is a new level 6 patron and the last level 6 patron, because there's only space for 5. The reason for that is because level 6 patrons get to add an anime for me to react to on my planning to react short list. Right now the list looks like this. Tiago gets to add an anime of his choice to this list, and he hasn't decided yet, but once he has, I will update this list and show you guys what it looks like then. And for most of these anime, you guys will also be getting reaction highlights plus the review. So yeah, thank you so much, Tiago. I'm looking forward to seeing which anime you suggest for me to watch. Without further ado, let's jump into Attack on Titan Season 3, Episode 5.
例えば今この瞬間、再びウォールシーナ内に避難させることになりますが、先日の避難で食料の備蓄は底をついており、数日と持ちません。すでに食料不足はウォールローゼで慢性化しています。ウォールシーナの壁を破るのは巨人ではなく、ウォールマリア奪還。行き詰まった人類の未来を切り開くには、相手の懐に飛び込むのは我々調査兵団の役目。引き下がるのみでは何の解決にもなりません。
エルビ、君はどうも理解していないようだが、今君がここにいるのは壁内の未来を話し合うためではないし、個々の利益を優先し人類の存続を脅かすべからず。これに対する重大違反だ。そして誘拐を装いエレン・イエーガーを隠匿したのだ。関わったディモリーブスの口を封じてな。陛下。
That guy knows. That guy knows. Like, Pixis wouldn't have been so meek. Who are you, Your Majesty?
これは即時執行されるものである。連れて行け。
これでいいのか。
No, it's a lie. No, this is their plan. They don't want them to come in. See? Because they're fucking evil bastards. Showing them they're evil. Showing them. They're all working together. We've already found the power. All that is left is to bide our time until the vessel takes it. The power. The vessel. Okay, so we've come to realize now that when one Titan eats another Titan, or when a Titan eats a person with a specific power, like when oh fuck, I forgot her name. Ymir. When Ymir ate their friend, she got his power, right? So all that's left is, so Eren is the power and the vessel is someone they want to eat Eren so that they can control, excuse me, not only they have power within the walls, they want to control the Titans too. So all that's left is to bide our time until the vessel takes it. So now they have, yeah, okay. I understand a little bit. Lord Reis comes back. So, is he the vessel? Or... guy who had
彼らの判断は意外だったかの。
先ほどの報告は誤報です。ご安心ください。今現在巨人の襲撃は確認されていません。
首謀者ならわしじゃ。
you wanted to prove that
中央憲兵の大半はどこ
because they're trying Erwin for treason of clause number 6 da 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 da, but they just trespassed that same, like they just did that same thing that they're saying Erwin did, because they're putting their own needs above that of humanity, because they're saying as long as we survive it's fine. The outside world, like humanity, part of humanity, half of humanity can die because they're safe. So they just, yeah.
あなた方にも同調していないと。このエルヴィンと同じ思いを持ちながらも、結局はあなた方政府に任せる方が、もしあなた方がより多くの人類を救えるのであれば、エルヴィンを処刑台に送っても良いと思っておった。今あなた方が答えをくれましたわ。たとえ巨人の力や成り立ちに関して無知であろうと。だから何だというのだ。
Humanity will be saved.
と思っているのか。民衆は王に貸し付くのみだぞ。
これはただの脅しではない。クーデターじゃ。
Huh?
中央憲兵の制圧。
時には王より上官に従うものでな。
そもそも偽の王であればなおのこと。我々は真の王を立てるつもりです。あなた方の先ほどの判断こそ。
Yay, see? Who is that king that just sits there? Is he dead? He just sits there in the same position. He's been in that position all this time. What can he do? He's a fake. He's been sleeping all this time.
人類はより険しい道を歩まざるを得なくなったぞ。
It's a step in the right direction, but both directions are just as dangerous, except that this one cares about saving humanity, the other one didn't. But both are dangerous in its own way. Life is kind of dangerous, isn't it? And I don't think these people look... I don't know if these are people we should be scared of. Maybe they're... yay! I don't know what a coup d'etat is! A coup d'etat, also known as a putsch à gulp. What is with these words? Or simply as a coup means the overthrow of an existing government. Okay, just an overthrow. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yay! But it's still scary.
それから中央憲兵の一部、その親玉とエレン、ヒストリアはまだ別の場所にいる。早いとこ見つけねえと。この戦いはそこで終わりにしよう。
Information. A sacred location where the royal family's power has been passed down for generations. The royal family's power has been passed down. Eaten? Have they been eating each other for the power? That thing there seems to say so, because that's a person being... And then there's a vessel, and then there's Eren, which is the power, and someone who's going to eat the vessel. But why does Eren have the power in the first place?
先ほど行われたザックレ総統の宣言通り、我々の目的は兵団組織による統治ではありません。
果たしてそう簡単に民衆が新しい王を受け入れるかどうか。不安に思っている者が多いのは事実です。
As far as humanity is concerned, we should have let the government do as they please, because they weren't affected yet. They were all living their lives happily and da 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 da. They wanted to leave the government as they were, because they weren't being affected. Fuck, people can be so fucking...
エレンを手放し、仲間の命も自分の命と共に責任を放棄し、王政に託すべきだったのでしょう。
君の使命は相変わらず辛いな。死んだ方がはるかに楽に見える。昔から奴らが気に食わなかったからだ。
ムカつくのだよ。偉そうなやつと偉くないのに偉いやつが。君は死にたくなかったのだよ。私と同様、人類の命運よりも個人を優先させるほど。
私には夢があります。子供の頃からの夢です。
The question that comes up for me is, what do you prefer? Like, things being fine and everyone at least surviving in under a government that is fake and only really cares for itself, but as long as you're inside the innermost wall, they care about you too, but they don't care about the rest of humanity. So is that, as long as humanity survives, even under that rule, is it better? Or would you rather be under a rule that at least cares about justice and what's right? Even if that means that things might not always be as easy. And I think that is what, remember what Emma said in The Promised Neverland? She's, Mama, Isabella said to them that live in here for 12 happy years, because out there things are more difficult. That's what it seemed like to me. It seemed like she said, live here for 12 happy years, because in the world outside, these walls are far worse than the fate that awaits you at the end of this happy one. That's kind of the idea that I got. And Emma said that she'll choose for herself what is happiness. I can say that better. Articulate. She can choose for herself what is happiness. And that's why she chose to rather, even if they struggle more outside, like for the kids that went with her, the 14 other kids that broke out of that prison, life may not be as easy and as nice for them as it was within the walls, because all those kids would have gone to bed with full bellies. They would have played with each other. They would have had a mother who loves them unconditionally. They would have grown up, for some of them, for 6 more years in perfectly beautiful, happy conditions. But then they'd be eaten. And that's what their whole life was. They were being fed and taken care of to be eaten. And what would you choose? That life of comfort for 12 years, or freedom to choose your own fate, whether or not it be as comfortable or even as long? You might die at 11 outside the walls. We don't know what's out there. But would you rather live free or live comfortably but have a predetermined fate, be eaten by monsters? That's kind of the same themes play in my mind when I watch this.
エルヴィンから託されたレース橋領地の調査報告書がこれだ。中身はほとんど5年前、レース家を襲ったある事件についてだ。
5 years ago. I'm getting the idea that the people that sent Berthold and Rainer, those people are really trying to do what Erwin was trying to do. They were trying to overthrow the government inside the walls for some... I'm just getting... You know what I'm saying?
5人の子供を持ち、特に長女のフリーダは飾らない性格で、
Oh, so this is Frida.
悪いことにその夜はレース一家が全員揃って祈りを捧げていた。
That looks creepy as fuck. I am very, what's the word, suspicious of, like, cults. That looks culty and it looks dangerous. Sorry. Oh, they died? But still, that looks creepy. Oof. So they were all praying together in that little chapel. Him and his 5 children. Did he have a wife? I didn't understand if he had a wife or not, but he had a mistress. And that's why he stood as the only child left. Even though she's a
つまりロット
bastard.
レースは家族を失った直後にヒストリアに接触
His only living child left.
血縁関係がその血に種か仕掛けが
Yes, what is the secret to their blood?
わからない。それより私が気になったのは盗賊なら取るもん取ってさっさと逃げるべきだろう。それにその盗賊を見たのはロットレースただ一人。もはやここに巨人の存在がなかったという方が不思議なくらいだ。
I don't entirely understand. I should probably be making some deductions. Did he remember himself from a previous life?
なんだ。私たちが急がないとエレンが食われるかもしれない。
By who? Lord Race?
巨人になれるのいつどうやって巨人になり
When and how did Eren become a titan and who did he eat to gain his
誰
power?
を食べた
Isn't there other ways? What is in the basement? Oh no, no, Historia, no. No. Don't do what your father asks of you. Don't do it! To save Eren, Mikasa and the others head for the Rice Chapel and she now has to eat Eren.
さたち
However, the captured Eren finds out. Who's this? Is this his father? Is this his father? Is it his father? But didn't his father die? What happened to his father? We don't know. However, the captured Eren finds out. This is a flashback. This looks like Kenny from
エ
long
レンが
ago.
知ったのは父グリシャ
His father, Grisha's unforgivable sin.
の許されない罪であった
Who's that? That's Historia, but who's that? Why does it look like Eren's mom?
次回罪
Okay, time for the review part, which is most of the time my favorite part. But with Attack on Titan, I always just end up being left with so many questions, and it's really hard for me to come up with theories. I mean, up until now, you wouldn't think that because I always end up talking so much after an episode, but talking about it and actually coming to good conclusions are two different things. I guess, yeah, I end up talking a lot, but I don't really feel like I've ever figured anything out properly. Although I might have an idea about something in this episode, but I don't know. Let's wait until I get to it. I just quickly want to read an overview or like a summary of this episode so that I'm sure that I followed everything as I should have. Edwin Smith defends the necessity of the scout regiment to the king and assembled nobles. But damn, didn't that king look dead as fuck? But he ended up just not being dead necessarily, but just being half asleep with like someone that was taught to sleep with their eyes open. Because I thought, damn, this man he's got a presence. Look at he's like all, you know, menacing and stuff. But actually ended up he was just basically sleeping. He wasn't so much a fake king as he was literally just a dummy that looked like a king, or was dressed like one at least. It seems like the royals were actually the ones, not the royals, the lords were actually the ones that were concocting up this whole scheme and plan, and for what reason, I don't know, just to protect themselves and their riches, I guess. But that guy didn't seem to really be part of it at all. He was just a dummy. Okay, without the scouts to fight against the Titans, humanity could face a civil war if the walls were ever breached again, since there would not be enough food to feed both the people of Wall Sina and Wall Rose. However, his justification fell on deaf ears and the nobles called for his execution. Before he could be taken away, Anka, apparently her name is, announces that Wall Rose has been breached. And I kind of knew that things, because I kind of knew that things, it was a setup, because that guy, I don't know his name, he kept looking at Pixis, and Pixis kept like being almost too calm, and I just knew like, yes, he knows something's not right. And then, okay, wait. So she announces that Wall Rose has been breached, forcing the nobles to confront the scenario Erwin just spoke of. Though Dot Pixis calls for an evacuation of the civilians in Wall Rose, the nobles override his order and demand that the gates to Walsina be closed. Niall, oh that's his name, Niall Dork refuses, and Premier Dali Zachary Dallas and Zachary arrives in time to agree. With all branches of the military turned against the royal government, yes, they enact a coup d'état. I don't know how to say that, but apparently it means just to overthrow the government, and the nobility is arrested. Despite, because they did the thing that they wanted Erwin to be killed for. They put their own needs ahead of that of humanity. Despite their success though, Erwin expresses misgivings about the new path humanity has taken, which I understand. I talked about this before and brought up the Rising of the Shield hero, where the bow hero helped a government to be overthrown, but now the people were worse off than they were under the wrongful lead. Even though it was a not a just government. I don't remember the reason he overthrew them, but it just that's just normal. Like, people are like sheep. They need to be herded. They need to be led. What do you call a person that herds sheep? A herder? So some herders only care about their prize 4 sheep, and they would sacrifice all the other sheep to keep their 4 prize sheep. Like, that isn't, in this analogy, that is not a just herder, if that makes sense. Obviously it's just an analogy, but like, a just herder would be one who puts his own life ahead of his sheep. Not to, it's like, I'm not stupid. I don't think like, oh, he should sacrifice his own life to save 1 sheep, because then all the other sheep would be lost and not have anyone to lead them, and they might all die as well. Like, I'm just trying to explain that a just herder at the end of the day will make decisions that are best for his flock. I don't know what you call a herd of sheep. His herd. Probably, clearly, it's not flock. I just feel like a just herder would make decisions that are best for the flock as a whole, and not for just, oh, these 4 are going to make me the most money, so I only really care about them, the rest can go fuck themselves, you know? That's what I'm trying to say. Obviously the analogy is flawed, because there's like sheep aren't really people. People have minds of their own, God, my English sometimes. People have minds of their own. So I know that there is a lot more to this, but do you understand what I'm trying to say? That a government should take care of its people and not take care of themselves first, and then in a case like this, close off, you know, half of humanity can be killed as long as we're safe. You know, it just isn't right. It isn't. And as I mentioned before, this makes me think of a lot of other anime, like The Promised Neverland, and like, this makes me think of a lot of other anime, like I mentioned before, The Promised Neverland and Dororo, where themes of freedom and right and wrong and good and bad, like, all of this comes into play. But yeah, I've talked about this so much recently. I'm not going to talk about it too much further right now. That's why I said this review should be slightly shorter than usual, because I'm not going to take on this whole right and wrong discussion right now. I'm going to wait until I have some more information. I would like to understand the governments that were the royal, you know, the lords that were in power. I wish I understood the history of this world, and how did they get to be in power, and what about Lord Race, and his family died, and I know that there's a lot of stuff around his family, like that Hans talked about how they died, that's very suspicious, but I can't wrap my head around anything right now. But then, oh yes, now I remember what I wanted to say. I remember in the last episode, I thought that girl with the comb or the brush, I thought it was Historia because their faces look similar, and especially their eyes. But now in this episode, we saw Eren kind of having a flashback as if it was him from a previous life. And we know that Ymir ate Reiner and Berthold and Annie's friend, and she gained his powers. So she was the vessel, he was the power. Now we have a power here, which is Eren, which is apparently supposed to be eaten by Historia, so that their bloodline, I don't know if their blood is, why is their blood special? Or is it just that they've always had the power, you know, to control the Titans? Is that why their blood is special? Only because they've always had the power and passed it down from generation to generation? But then we saw Eren's dad, and the next episode is called Sin. And did he give Eren the power? Did he take it from Lord Rice's daughter who had it? But who did she eat to get it? And did Eren eat her to get it? Or did Eren's dad, and this is my theory, did he somehow, my fringe is way too long, did he somehow find a way to extract it with a syringe and then input it into Eren? I don't think Historia is going to eat Eren. If you look at the well, let me just see. If you look at the Attack on Titan season 3, if you look at the art, this I don't know what you call those arts, the official art for season 3 part 1 at least. If you look at this, Historia, zoom bitch, Historia is being almost protected by those around her. Eren, Mikasa, Armin, he's the one narrating all of this, which I'm also wondering, why are you the one narrating this? Are you the only one that ends up surviving? I will cry. Levi, John, and Hanj. I forgot his name. Why do I want to call him Connie? What's his name again? And then Potato Girl. Also forgot her name. In this episode, I forgot a lot of names for some reason. But it looks like she's being protected. But also her hair is short. So is there going to be either it's tied, or there's going to be some powerful moment where she like whoosh, whoosh, cuts off her hair and is a badass. But yeah, so I don't think Historia will betray them. But I think she's meant to. Where on earth are they though? In this beautiful cave with these magic walls, and he looks, yeah, the first thing I thought it was totally like really BDSM with Eren being all, yeah. I saw a few people say in the comments that it kind of turned them on. It didn't turn me on per se, as I knew he was scared shitless, and it was scary for me too. But I'm not gonna lie, he's gotten quite attractive. He looks a little bit older than he did in season 1 at least. This person says, episodes like this are the reason I hate myself for having read ahead in the manga. What I hopelessly say to myself before, during, and after every episode of Attack on Titan. That is exactly why I don't read ahead. I don't read manga ahead. Like with The Promised Neverland, for example, when an anime ends, I'll read the manga up until where the anime ended. And then I'll wait. I'll distract myself with other manga that I have to read before reading ahead, because then when it's time for the next season, it sucks, you know, because then you know what's happening, what's going to happen. I just don't think it's as fun to watch. Because part of why I love anime, not the only reason, but part of why I love anime is watching with others and theorizing and you know, being a part of that community. And yeah, you can't do that in the same way when you know what's going to happen, because then you have to hold back on what you're going to say and how you say it, because you might spoil without even knowing. So yeah, that's why I don't read ahead when it comes to manga. But I always love going back and reading the parts that I've already seen, because manga inevitably has more detail than the anime, which is one thing. Detail is fine if they leave little things out of the anime and change a few things, because a manga can be told in a different way than an anime can. So clearly they're going to change things, but there are ways to adapt it properly, whereas I think some anime just they don't do the manga justice. Okay, so I can also understand why so many people who read manga and then watch anime, why they are unhappy with the adaptation. For example, The Promised Neverland left out a few key things, but it didn't really change the story overall. But it did change maybe the feel of some characters, but not to such a great extent. I haven't really seen too many people complain about the adaptation versus the manga. I feel like I've read a couple of chapters, and I feel like they did it justice. With Attack on Titan, I also haven't really read any complaints about the adaptation itself. Apparently, the last part of the manga isn't so great. Maybe it got a little bit confusing, and the anime is starting to be better. That's another thing that can happen. The only thing that's really sad for me is when an anime leaves out chunks of the manga, I don't know, for progression, to get to certain parts faster. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like the manga itself is an artwork, and I would like the anime to do it justice, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if I read the manga first, I would be one of those people in my reaction that would, instead of just watching it fresh as a new story, I would think about how it was done in the manga, and that's why I don't read the manga before watching. Or, for example, when a season ends, I keep reading from there, which I know a lot of people do because they're impatient to wait for the story. And I've done that. I have done that. Not to say that I haven't done that, but with anime that isn't necessarily Attack on Titan, The Promised Neverland, things that it's really about the story and figuring things out, and it's different. But I'm digressing once again, as I always do. I will start reading Attack on Titan, the manga. That is really the whole point of my whole manga versus anime talk. But not until after the second part ends, and then hopefully we'll find out if there's going to be a season 4, and there probably will be, and when it's going to be. So yeah, then I will read the manga from page 1, like from early, and I won't read past where season 3 part 2 ends. And that's also why I made sure to plan my reactions in such a way that when I end the last episode of season 3 part 1, a couple of days after season 3 part 2 will start. And I've seen quite a few people comment on videos, and it gets a little frustrating, but I don't really care that much. It's just a little frustrating when you guys comment and say, do you know this is how many days it's left before Attack on Titan season 3 part 2 starts? You better start catching up, da da da. And I'm like, no. I planned this meticulously so that by the time I end, the next season will start, so that I don't even have a 2-week gap. I can just jump from the one episode to the next one. There will be because I know that the last episode of this season is going to end on some fucking massive cliffhanger, and it's going to kill me, and then I don't have to wait as long. So let me watch it at my own pace. It's quite frustrating when people don't want you to watch at your own pace, when they as well, like everyone had to wait a week for these episodes to come out, and that's why I give myself a week per episode too. Except now I am, for example, except this week, for example, I'm gonna watch another episode of Attack on Titan, because I can choose to do that. Like where it ended now, I was like, oh, I don't want to wait another week, and I don't have to because I scheduled it for this week. So yeah, I like watching at my own pace, because when I do want to wait a week, I can wait a week. When I don't want to, I can just put it in my schedule. So yeah, I do think these things out quite thoroughly. My whole schedule is my whole life is planned around my YouTube channel. So don't worry, I will get to every episode of this season before Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2 starts. Okay, so final thoughts on this episode is I'm happy that things worked out. I know that things won't necessarily be easy from here because a whole new regime, it means chaos, and people need to adjust to chaos. I really hope that they get to Eren in time. I assume they will, although this is just that kind of anime where I wouldn't really be that shocked if they killed off the main character because they haven't really been dealing with Eren a lot this season. So that makes me think maybe they're slowly but surely making us less used to Eren so that they can eventually take him from us, and I really don't want that to happen. And yeah, I'm thinking that somehow Eren's dad was part of that rebel group that, I don't know, attacked Lord Races while they were praying. And I just want to know, like, Lord Race, did he have a wife? Was it just, they said he had 5 children, but they didn't say anything about a wife. So was he cheating on her or not? And what and how and yeah, I kind of freaked out with the part where they were all like in a little cult praying together. I find that a little creepy if I think about, I don't know, but it's really, that's my own personal stuff that I need to work through. Like, just because people are in a little corner praying together around some candles doesn't necessarily make them culty and evilly, you know. But I don't know. Is Lord Race, was he a good lord? His children seem to have been good enough, but how were things? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they didn't seem like bad people, but Titans had to come from somewhere, and maybe the walls were there to keep people safe, and the reason they could do that was because they had the power with them, but now they don't. And then Historia, and still, where are Reiner and them from? What about that giant monkey Titan? What's he doing? Where are they from? Do they have the same goal as the scouts? Did they just want to throw the power on the inside because they were being disadvantaged because something on the inside was unjust? And so many questions, no answers. But we're getting closer, and that's all I can hope for. I'm looking forward to it all. There is a lot of corruption and stuff, and that's why it's so good, because it's such an interesting reflection on how it works in real life, you know? There's so much corruption going on, and we just need to fucking keep our heads. And the thing is, you can't hide the truth from people. But then again, some people, like those people in the inside the walls, the people inside Wall Sina, most of them wouldn't care. As long as they're safe, they don't care. They would have felt that their government was just. But the people inside Wall Rose, if they knew about what had happened in that room where they said close the gates to Wall Sina, they would have obviously said, no, this government is evil. But now that, remember that part where Niall was talking to not a photographer but a journalist. It was like, he said, but people, and also everyone talked about it, people, they don't know who to trust anymore. They feel like you should have just left the government in charge because things were fine and now we're unsure. But things weren't fine, you just weren't aware of it. But it's scary, so can you blame them? Like, they don't know. For them, things were fine. So they don't know that things weren't fine. So obviously they'd wanted to stay the way it was because they thought it was fine, but it's not. Well, yeah. Once again, not as short as I planned, but hopefully shorter than the other times. Thank you guys for watching with me. Obviously, I really love Attack on Titan, and I'm looking forward to finding out what, who, when, where, and why. Bye, everyone.